When I was 19, I bought my first sports car, and I also almost got my first felony. When I was 19, I bought a 2003 Nissan 350Z, but that is not the car that this video is about, because only 3 months into my ownership of that car, I parked it next to a hillside, and when I returned, it was gone. It had been pushed over a parking curb, over a curb, and down the side of a hill by a drunk man in a minivan. Insurance totaled that car, and I used the insurance money to buy my second sports car, a 2006 Mazda Speed 6, and it was in that car that I was charged with felony elusion of police. Now, I'm not gonna get mired down relitigating the facts and fictions of this whole debacle, save to say that I think we can all agree that in this country, our justice system punishes only those who are guilty fairly and proportionately to their crime. And so 19-year-old Ben with no prior offenses pled guilty to avoid a felony and served instead a month in county jail. Pop quiz, what was the most unfortunate thing to happen to me that year? Was it A, my car being pushed off of a cliff, B, getting charged with a felony, or C, going to jail? If you answered D, purchasing a Mazda Speed 6, you are correct. But the most unfortunate thing of it all is the car's still here.
Before I can move the car into the garage, it needs a jump because the battery is dead, and in the process of jumping it, the Mazda Speed makes a break for it.
Oh. E-brake is not good. All right, now before you say this is a Mazda 6, not a sports car, and click off the video, wait! You're probably thinking of a Mazda 6. This is a Mazda Speed 6. And you can tell because of this big bump here in the hood. Now what this is here for is an intercooler. And it's intercooled because this engine is turbocharged. This is a Mazda 6 chassis with a 2.3 liter direct injection turbocharged engine with an intercooler making about 270-ish horsepower back in 2006. But it doesn't stop there. Now, while the Mazda Speed 6 is based on the Mazda 6 front-wheel drive chassis, the Speed 6 has part-time all-wheel drive. Well now, hang on a second. A Japanese four-door sedan with an inline four-cylinder turbocharged, making 270-ish horsepower and all-wheel drive, but that sounds a great deal like... unfortunately, that's where the similarities end, because while the Evo was racing on road circuits and in rally, winning races and championships all throughout the 90s and 2000s, the Mazda 6 was mostly rusting. This car only came out in 2006, and already you can find them for $4,000 USD running and driving. And the reason that they're so cheap is many of these cars just rust out. I mean, this rust back here, a little bug crawling out of there, this is as common as it gets. Almost all Speed 6s are gonna have this rear fender rust. But the other more important main reason why these cars are unloved and cheap to afford is the engine. This is the 2.3 liter in question, direct injected, turbocharged, extremely brittle. These cars are a dime a dozen because half the time the timing chain tensioners have failed and there's been some kind of catastrophic failure in the engine, or a stink bug has flown out of the engine bay and landed on my cameraman. Oh no. A very early direct injected motor from Mazda when Mazda was owned by Ford, and there's a dead frog on my intercooler. Oh my God. That is the decaying corpse of a dead frog. Why has this car been out of my life for 10 years and now it's back? How did it stick around? Why is it in the condition that it's in? Actually, extremely interesting story there as well. This Mazda Speed 6 was foundational to Gears and Gasoline as a YouTube channel. I traded this car to my father for the Evo.
Not since Oedipus Rex has a son so royally screwed over their father, but The Mazda Speed was a running and driving car, and the Evo was wrecked with a salvage title. I continued to see the Mazda around for years after that, never being driven, usually just sitting parked in a driveway or a yard. My dad wasn't driving it much at all, but he has a really hard time getting rid of things. Every time I'd see it, I'd say, oh, he still got my old car.
Now, Continental has sponsored us for this series, the My First Car, My First Tire series. This is not literally my first car. It's not even my first sports car, as I explained, but it is one of the very first cars that I owned. It's also a car that I have a lot of history with. This was a trade to my dad for the Evo. Without this car, it's very likely that Gears and Gasoline might not have ever existed. I think I owe my dad a nice car. Is my dad gonna take any better care of it this time than he did the first time I traded it to him? That's not my problem. Only my dad can decide that. But what I can do is give my dad a nice car to drive, something a little bit better than this. And also, at the same time, I'm gonna give this car, which I still feel very strong nostalgia for, an opportunity at a nice second life. So now let's get into the most fun part of every single one of these new car acquisitions, and let's find out what the dumb previous owner did to this poor car. Except the dumb previous owner was me. I must drop another key piece of lore about this car, and that is that this is the car that started my loathing for Pennsylvania cars, because I bought it from Pennsylvania. And as we can already tell, looking at the outside of the car, it's rusty. Well, right off the immediate bat, one of the worst spare tire wells I've laid eyes on. Can I put my finger through it anywhere? Everyone from North Dakota is watching this and going, ah, that ain't bad. Nah, it's not good.
Mazda Speed 6s love to rust for whatever reason. I don't know if it's the same with the regular Mazda 6, but these cars are notorious for it. And with this one being from PA, it never really had a chance.
Is this like a puck? Is this to prevent the exhaust from scraping? What is this? I actually have no idea what this is. So this is a mod I did. Solid dog bone mount, as they call it, because it kind of looks like a doggy bone, to keep the engine from torquing so much. Got a Mishimoto magnetic drain plug. That's pretty cool, pretty trick. Everything else is looking pretty stock and pretty rusty. I think the only reason we're not seeing more rust in the engine bay is because there's so much oil. I'm missing an exhaust bolt. Oh, it's sheared. So the downpipe bolt has sheared off here. I wonder why I was even messing with that at all. Honestly, like, this is the worst. Let me go ahead and take off this pan. At one point, there was a 10 mil underneath this. It's not a 10 mil anymore. Oh, we got one. And then that's about right.
I've never seen this car like under your ownership. This is really your car?
Yeah, I own this.
You didn't get it out of the junkyard like just recently.
No, I bought it in 2013.
Has it been sitting in the ocean since?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania?
Yeah, so pretty much the same thing.
Makes you feel bad for the viewers. They just got dusted all over. Oh yeah, look at that. Hold on. Yeah. Hold on.
Oh, well, we got like a 1/16 of a turn out of it. Okay, that's three sheared bolts.
I wouldn't tow from that thing.
Oh man, the amount that it's punching into the. What? Like when you push on it, it just like pushes the spare tire wall up.
That's crazy.
I'm seeing what this is for.
Oh.
It's to cover this charcoal canister.
I see.
It's like an emissions thing. So mice, as you can see by their stash of acorns, squirrels.
Obviously, this chassis is far from pristine, and to you, the unbiased viewer, you may just see an old, rusty economy car that's not worth the trouble. But to me, I see an old, rusty economy car that sent me to jail. Without this car, I would never have learned how to tie a do-rag. There's too much history here for me to just let it go.
It's not gonna be perfect. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's like, he can still drive it, you know? You can get a couple more years out of it. I wanna see if there's something in the trunk that's causing that rust.
Step 1 is remembering how to open the trunk.
Not with the key.
What's that smell? Oh, there's a cob. There's just no trunk release.
Back in the day, that was the hot ticket. Cobb Access Port V3. These were extremely big with the Mazda Speed guys because this was like the easiest way to flash tune your ECU.
Then Mark realized there's just a handle.
Oh wow. There's way less random garbage than I was expecting to be in here. Okay, I'm just gonna preemptively throw this away.
Keon Johnson.
Buckets. Man, that smell is crazy.
I feel like I need to take a shower. Why is there acorns in here?
There was a rodent back here. I want to make it clear the car was not like this before I gave it to my dad.
There's a little nesty nest.
Kind of a nice thought to think about a little squirrel asleep. At least somebody was using the car. Dang, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of worried there was gonna be a corpse. I mean, there's no rust inside, so that's good, huh? Right, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, that counts.
That counts. That's something. Better than the Eclipse.
Yeah, it's a good car.
It's a good car. It is a good car. Luckily, this series is sponsored by Continental because we're gonna need tires. These tires are from before, these are from the early 2010s, okay? Before Avengers came out. Look at the dry rot, dude. That is insane.
So this tire was made on the 46th week of 2010.
2010.
2010.
So this is a 15-year-old tire. Mazda was jointly owned by the Ford Motor Company. And you'll see right here on this brake caliper right here, some very unfortunate initials. Okay, step 1, let's take off Tweety Bird. Oh man.
I heard that.
That's a sign that a steering wheel cover has been on for a while. Oh my gosh. Oh, I think there's adhesive on this thing. I didn't do this, by the way. Oh my gosh. That could be some of the smell. What the heck is? This is a Mercedes-Benz branded floor mat. This is the OEM Mazda Speed floor mat that the Mercedes-Benz floor mat was sitting on top of. This might have something to do with it. Some very old food wrappers. Let's see. Battery tie down. Good. This interior has been kind of taken apart partially. That might have been me. It seems like a me move. I don't know what's going on with the seat belt. It's under the seat. What is happening? The seat belt is like trapped under the seat. I don't. There's 5 different plugs on the bottom of the seat. Let's pull the seat out. Oh, it's a chunky seat. So you can see, got some more acorns. Mazda Speed 6 was a entry-level luxury car. It was pretty nice for a Mazda back in the day. This was before Mazda's pivot to actually being like an upscale Japanese car. I seem to remember the sunroof leaking at some point and getting water in the passenger floorboard area. So maybe that's why this was all pulled up. It's in pretty good shape under here. I mean, for a PA car. I don't remember how these come out. I used to know. Oh, well, apparently you just pull. Yeah, okay, you just pull. Whoa! Got some gum from 2014. Oh man. Wow, this came out real easy. I don't think the foam stinks. More acorns. I mean, these are pretty okay, but these are... That's part of your smell right there. Bros, what a find. I was going to Sheetz in 2013, picking up the hottest import tuner, the freshest import tuner. They always had bebs on the front. This is what life was like in the 2010s. This might be old poop. Heavy as a... Oh. $25, $50, $55, 60 cents. I'm gonna make money coming out of this. I'm not gonna make money coming out of It's like the coziest nest I've ever seen in a car. Whoever was in there was living large. This car was not a barn find because A, I knew about it. My dad owned it the whole time. Also, B, it was never got anything as good as being kept in a barn. This was like a yard find. So yeah, unfortunately, as you can see, the exterior has taken a little bit of abuse. Now we're gonna clean out the engine bay. First thing we have to do mechanically is under the hood anyways, so let's get some of these acorns out and perform a little funeral for our little frog friend here. It's in moments like these when you really have to honor those who came before us, and you know, regardless of whether it's a person or just a little frog, you know, there's an inherent dignity that I think that we should all go out with. Oh, now there's a mod. Oh my gosh, dude. That's That's crazy.
No, that's nuts.
That's good. That's good, Cam. That's a good one.
Thank you. There's one now and then.
Dude, this squirrel, this dude is one enterprising. Holy cow. When I had this car back in 2014, had a consistent ticking noise from the engine, which these motors, the 2.3 liter DC motor, the MZR, are very famous for having timing chain tensioners fail, and they slacken and allow a lot of chain slap. So you'll hear the chain moving back and forth, slapping back and forth inside the timing cover. But I changed the timing chain in Ben Thorne's garage thinking that that was the issue, and the sound persisted. And honestly, I never really found out what the sound was. Let me play it for you now. All right. Now, the sound doesn't quite come across when you're just free revving, so I'm gonna take you guys for a little ride here. This is extremely difficult on a bucket. I feel like Mr. Incredible. It's like mostly when you come on to boost.
Unfortunately, in a parking lot, the sound is not producible, but I know it's there.
I think it is injector seal, which, you know, if you don't have a direct injected car, you're going, why on earth would that make a noise? For whatever reason, with these direct inject 2.3 liters for these Mazdas, the injector seals tend to go bad in such a way where they're rattling. Don't censor that, don't put the...
Basically, the injector seals rattle back and forth between the injector and the head, which results in a noise, which can cause the ECU to detect knock and pull timing. Either way, Mazda calls for the fuel system to be inspected every 30,000 miles, and this one has been inspected never that I'm aware of. So it's all got to come apart anyways.
Something I did a million times. Taking off this top mount intercooler. Why did I take off the top mount intercooler a million times? If you ever need to service anything along the valve train of the motor, such as spark plugs or coil packs or anything in the valve train, you have to take the intercooler off. Luckily, it's not particularly complicated to do so. Wow. The good old days. I haven't done this in years. Dude, there was just straight up a squirrel living underneath the intercooler.
Okay, we can see in here, there are loads of little acorns that have been eaten out. You can see the center's been devoured. And here you go. Here's some little turds, some little droppings from some kind of rodent. These are all the telltale signs that we're in the lair of a North American squirrel.
Why are we doing all this if we just need to get to the injectors? Shouldn't we just go right to the fuel rail? Well, unfortunately, it is direct injection, which means that the injectors are underneath the intake manifold. So, what would be a fairly easy job on your standard like port injected car on a 4G63 on a K series is gonna be a little bit more of a headache. I've just realized that I've had all of this stuff off
in the past because I did the timing chains. So I had like the vast majority of all of this stuff like wiring loom like disassembled. Like I was like stressed out of my mind because I'd never done anything that intensive on an engine before, and I didn't know how I was going to figure out how to put it all back. I know it's difficult, I think, for you guys to be like, why do you care about this car? Sort of similar to Ben Thorne and his ZX2, and it's just because we owned these cars when we were like impressionable teenagers. This is, you know, a 2.3 liter direct inject turbo engine from a collaboration between Mazda and Ford. Does this have anything to do with the 2.3 liter EcoBoost that's in like Mustangs and Ford Focus RS and stuff like that? Curious to know.
Up to this point, things had been a fairly straightforward, routine procedure, somewhat relaxing actually, but as I began to realize where Mazda/Ford had located the remaining few bolts for the intake manifold, I started to lose faith in their engineers.
I think that bolt is blocked by the power steering pump. Gonna be a little bit more of a headache.
I'm gonna refer to a tutorial just to confirm that I need to do this before I do this. Yes, the power steering pump needs to get moved to access the intake manifold bolts.
What else is hanging us up here? Might be the fuel rail thingy. Okay, so I was wondering why the throttle body needed to come off. And the throttle body needs to come off to give you access to the fuel rail shield, which needs to come off so that you can get access to the bolt that holds the intake manifold on. So yeah, just, you know, if you were interested in owning a Mazda Speed, this is to remove the injectors. It's gonna be a little bit more of a headache.
My mistake, my mistake. You do not take the throttle body off to give you access to the bolt that takes off the shield for the fuel rail. You take off the throttle body to give you access to the EGR tube that you loosen so that then you can take it off on the motor side, so that then you take the EGR tube off and that gives you access to the bolt that holds the shield on that protects the fuel rail. My bad.
Okay, I guess I gotta take this off so that my wrench fits. Gonna be a little bit more of a headache.
After taking my aggression out on a 22mm wrench, things got much easier and I started to calm down.
What the f is going on, dude? I'm gonna forget what the I was doing. That's gonna take me. Just take the engine out. You. All right. We have our EGR tube out. Why? Don't know. Thought we were doing the injectors. Stupid.
But once I'd gotten the EGR tube out, I once again became rational.
What the f did I just take that off for? Well, I can't remember what the whole point was. I need to take off this thing. You have to think like the Benny Gesserit, bro. We're planning like decades in advance.
All right. We've taken off the fuel rail shield. You know, a very common part on all cars. You've got a fuel rail shield, don't you? No. Why the f would you need a fuel rail shield? And why would it be in the way of the intake manifold bolt? And why, in order to take this off, would I have to take off the EGR tube? And why, in order to take off the EGR tube, would I have to take off the throttle body? Why would you design something like this? Think about the mechanic. This is insane. This is why the platform is dead. People don't with Mazda speeds. This is why. This is insane. You can get away with being unreliable, but if you're gonna be unreliable, at least be easy to work on. If catch this fuel.
Oh,
That's a lot of fuel.
that is gross.
That's a lot of fuel. Now, these guys have to come out to pull the injectors. These are T40 bolts here that need to come out for all these injectors. Oh, they're not particularly tight. Look, I've never worked on direct injection before, so maybe this is standard, but this seems like overkill. Okay, so then do these injectors like come out easily? No.
What followed made the intake manifold look like a stroke of engineering genius by comparison. The injectors were stuck to the head. Advice on the internet was to twist the injectors back and forth until they wiggled out of the engine, but 3 of the 4 injectors simply spun within the metal housing that contacts the cylinder head.
Hey, this one's coming out. Is that where the seal's supposed to go? The thing with direct injection motors is, in contrast to port injection motors, is I believe they're prone to a lot of carbon buildup because they don't kind of get like washed. With fuel, there's a lot of carbon buildup in that injector port, and I don't see a seal. Isn't there supposed to be a seal here?
It did appear that the ticking noise was being caused not by a loose injector seal, but by a missing one.
Yeah, I mean, there's no seal there.
Yeah, it's gone. That's what it's supposed to look like.
So at least this whole endeavor had been for a good cause. Now we just had to get the rest of the injectors out.
How many custom tools are you going to make before you get it right?
Mark,
Ow.
don't hurt yourself.
Whoa. It was like rubbing on something as it was coming out. Yeah, that piece right there that just got in focus, there's like a piece that it swiped on. And so you just kind of put the bolt in nice and kind of loose, and then gosh,
I saw it move.
I think I did too. I'm probably gonna break this tool.
Should have just dipped the whole car in a giant vat of PB Blaster before we started any of this, to be honest.
Unfortunately, no amount of PB Blaster could separate what my undergraduate education can only describe as the covalent bond which had been formed between the 2 remaining injectors and the head.
Yeah, that's perfect. Oh, I'm doing it?
Oh yeah, you're doing it.
Okay.
You're the one that came up with this.
Now, this is Mark's invention, ladies and gentlemen.
I
Let's
did
see.
not
Let's see
come up with
how
it.
well
It's
this
not
works.
mine.
This is gonna work first try, watch this. I just want to remind everybody we're removing the injectors. Okay, so this is number 2. It was like every other one, right?
Well, that one's number 3. So we still got one left, and it's number 1. I see movement.
Dude, how is this car even running? Have any of these had seals?
No.
Very good reason that we did go for the injectors, because there's so much carbon buildup on these injectors. It's unreal. There's no sign whatsoever of a seal. This is just crazy that the seal seems to have just kind of like disappeared at this point, like just burnt up and been turned into ash. These definitely need to get ultrasonically cleaned, so I'm going to send these off to get cleaned. We can do the injector seals after that. In the meantime, we can do some spark plugs on this thing.
I'm hoping that we don't have the same issue with the spark plugs, because that's what we're going to tackle next. And just looking at the bolts, we're going to have issues. Oh, did he already take this off? Oh.
Whoa.
Maybe he took this off? Oh, that doesn't feel good. Rust on it, on the threads. That's what I was feeling. I think Ben's got a sickness. I think he just loves cars from Pennsylvania. There's a ton of anti-seize on here. A lot of carbon buildup on the plug, and then a lot of corrosion on the ground. It's good that we're changing this thing out. So we got a hot boy over here. Ben Lynn with the NGK laser iridiums. Or maybe we should coat the whole car in anti-seize. Would probably be a better option. It looks like the valve seals are gone, especially in this one. So that's good. Or at least better, best one. And then
My dad is a great guy, but we are not doing a valve job on this engine.
it's just not worth it. So we're gonna move on to the next thing, which is trying to figure out what that smell is on the inside of the cabin. And I'm sure we're gonna find some nice goodies in the cabin air filter. Oh dear God. It's gonna make a mess. Now what you don't see is what's still left in there. Like, it's properly packed. It's completely blocked. It is completely blocked. It is so packed in there that if I start chipping away at it, it's just gonna fall down into the blower itself, and then eventually all this stuff will get, kind of caked on it and possibly damage the blower, leaving residue behind and then possibly blowing out the vents. I'm gonna try and take this blower out. That way I can, get all the stuff down and out. There's already stuff coming down in there. Oh, it smells. Oh, get it out. Get it out. That is rank. And there was poop rolling off.
What? Dude, where did they get it from?
Well, there's like a couple of areas that they took some insulation off here, over there. I'm sure underneath.
These are some industrious mice, dude.
That was the smell right there in that thing.
That's hilarious.
You should see it in, well, I guess you will whenever you go and edit this real quick, because they know you're editing.
Yeah, give me that card cam.
So on to the next thing. I figure probably needs a proper oil change. Who knows when the last time it's been done? Yeah, I wonder how bad this is gonna be. Like I said, I don't know how long this oil's been sitting for. Probably a really long time. Let's see. Oh my, it's great. Like I put no torque on that whatsoever. Ready, 1, 2. Yeah, that is a lot of metal. Yeah, that is a lot of metal. Holy crap. Why is it? They didn't put any anti-seize on this. I think the filter just like collapsed on itself. I am a wrench now. And now, a word from Ben.
Hello, neighbor. Do you have an engine that's been horrifically abused for years, completely neglected, and is now full of carbon buildups? If so, Valvoline Restore and Protect is the engine oil for you. This sucker gets in there and cleans out the internals of your engine, removes varnish, removes deposits, especially for pistons. It'll loosen stuck rings on pistons, and that's probably what this engine needs, if I had to guess, just based on looking at the top end and the amount of carbon that we have in there. Hearing from Mark about the amount of metal that he was seeing coming out of the oil pan, I would say that this engine needs every advantage it can get. So we're gonna put some Valvoline 5W30 Restore and Protect formulation in there. And I think it's gonna give this engine the best chance that it's got, considering the significant disadvantages that this engine is starting out with. Well, gang, that is all the time we have to work on the car this week. The video's got to come out sometime. We greatly appreciate Continental for sponsoring the My First Car, My First Tires build series, even though we didn't actually get to the part about the tires. That'll happen next episode, but thank you, Continental, very much. They didn't just sponsor us, they also sponsored the Straight Pipes, Speed Academy, Engineering Explained, and a bunch of other great influencers who made videos themselves about buying their first cars and working on them, so go check those videos out. And next time, we're gonna do some serious mods to the Mazda Speed and give my dad a car that he can really have fun with. Or more likely, it's gonna absolutely explode. I mean, the drivetrain is gonna shatter, it's gonna send a rod flying through the block, it's gonna melt down a cylinder. This son of a gun is gonna absolutely
Just enough, just enough.